So GDP is slowing all over the world, every country. Productivity has been waning for 20 years, all over the world. Unemployment is stubbornly high in every country. We are beginning to see the long end game for one of the great economic eras in world history. But we're also beginning to glimpse the emergence of a new economic paradigm so different than anything that we have ever known that it's going to catch our breath, and then we're going to have to think it out. To understand the nature of this crisis and the opportunity that's now unfolding, we need to grasp how the great economic changes in history occur. If we know how they occur, we can get a roadmap for what we need to do in the business community to chart a new journey for the human race tomorrow morning. When we look at all the great economic paradigm shifts in history, they share a common denominator. At a particular moment in time, three defining technologies emerge and converge to create what we call in engineering a general-purpose technology platform, a new infrastructure for changing the way we organize economic life with each other and the planet we live in. What are those three defining technologies? New communication technologies to more efficiently manage economic activity. New sources of energy to more efficiently power economic activity. New modes of transportation logistics to more efficiently move economic activity. When communication technologies, new energies, and new modes of transportation come together, they change the way we manage, power, and move economic activity across our value chains. From an anthropological point of view, it's as simple as that. Let me give you an example. 19th century, first industrial revolution, Britain. The Brits took us from manual printing, a German invention, to steam power printing. Big leap forward in communication, the ability to manage economic life. Then they built out the telegraph across Britain. The Brits then went to a new energy source, cheap coal, and they created an invention to power it, the steam engine. Then they put the steam engine on rails called locomotives and created a transport system that opened up world markets in the first industrial revolution. Communication, energy, transport, logistics. 20th century, second industrial revolution, United States and Germany. In the United States, like in Germany, we had centralized electricity, and then Alexander Graham Bell gave us the telephone. We think the internet's a big deal. The telephone as a management tool for communications, for economic activity, a huge leap forward. Later, radio and television. These communication technologies converged in the United States with cheap Texas oil wells, powered by a new invention, the internal combustion engine, a German invention, Daimler and Benz. And then Henry Ford put everybody on roads, cars, buses, and trucks on road systems. The US, Germany, second industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution took us through the 20th century, and it peaked in July of 2008. If you go back and remember that month, Brent crude oil hit a record $147 a barrel on world markets. And when that happened, everyone stayed home because all the prices for everything we buy were prohibitively high because everything's pegged to fossil fuels, fertilizers, pesticides, construction materials, pharmaceutical products, synthetic fiber, all made out of carbon. Transport, power, heat, and light. This whole first and second industrial revolution is powered by the carbon deposits of a previous period of history. We had the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. When future generations look back on us in the geological record, they will see the carbon people. So when oil started to go over 90 a barrel, all the other prices went up, shut down in July 2008 at 147. That was the economic earthquake The collapse of the financial market 60 days later was the aftershock. We are now in the beginning, not just of a great recession, but a long sunset for a second industrial revolution based on centralized telecommunications, dependent on fossil fuel energies, and those energies are used to power an internal combustion engine road and rail system. What I would say to you this afternoon, and I say this to every government that I deal with, as long as you are still practicing your economic activity on a second industrial revolution platform based on centralized telecommunication, fossil fuel, nuclear power, and internal combustion rail and road, there's not a single country in the world that's going to move their economy forward from here on. Not a single country. You can put in austerity and market and labor reforms and all the rest. That platform has now optimized its aggregate energy efficiency. We cannot get anything more out of it. That's why productivity has been stalled for 20 years. I'll come back to this later. We'll talk about something called aggregate energy efficiency, which the engineers in this room will understand. Hopefully the rest of us too. We are on the cusp of a third industrial revolution, a new convergence of communication, energy, transport, and logistics. The communication internet, which we all use today, has matured. We all have our iPhones and our laptops. But now it's beginning to morph. It's converging with a digitalized renewable energy internet spawned here in Germany and now China, and an automated transport and logistics internet, and soon GPS and driverless transport and rail system. We are seeing the emergence of three internets: communication internet, renewable energy internet, automated transport internet, to rethink how we manage, power, and move economic activity across the value chains. These three internets are the kernel of a new operating platform called the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is not just about big data, broadband, and Wi-Fi. It's about how we began to place sensors in every machine and device, not so they can just talk to each other, but so they can send big data across the value chains to these three internets. These internets are the brain, if you will. The sensors are just the nervous system, because the brain manages, powers, and moves economic activity for everyone in this room. So we have 14 billion sensors connecting devices now. We have sensors monitoring our food crops, sensors on the factory floor sending data back to these three emerging internets, sensors in retail stores, smart homes with sensors, smart vehicles, warehouses, smart roads. By 2030, Fairchild says maybe 100 trillion sensors. Every machine is now talking to every other machine, but sending data back to these three key components of every economic paradigm: communication, energy, transport. On the upside, this is a huge leap forward for the human race, because for the first time in history, everyone's going to have a transparent picture of the economic life of society. We are leveling the playing field and democratizing economic life. I teach in the oldest business school in the world, the Wharton School. I taught the advanced management program for 15 years, and the first thing we say is caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware, because no seller wants to let the buyer know what the seller knows. Now everyone will know what everyone knows. We think the Snowden affair with government's a big deal. If this network stays open, everyone's going to know what's going on across the economic value chain. And what this means is we have 3 billion people connected to the internet, and now with the Internet of Things, everyone's going to be connected within the next 20 years. I just got back from China, where the plan I'm outlining today is moving in China as well as here in Germany. And the Vice Premier Wang Yang said, Jeremy, we now have a $25 smartphone, so if you're making $2 a day, you're going to be connected within the next generation, 20 years. So it means that any of us in this room, we all have a value chain. As individuals and families, small businesses, large companies, neighborhoods, we all have a value chain, because as an economic being, every day you and I are marshaling economic activity, right? We're rearranging economic activity. We're producing economic activity. We're storing economic activity. We're consuming economic activity. And we're recycling economic activity. That's what it means to be part of the economy. What this means and what this fair is really all about, with all of that technology out there that you're looking at, is any one of us now connected to the emerging Internet of Things can go up on this value, on this system, and cut our sheath of the value chain out, the value chain we're interested in, and watch our own data across our value chain, maybe our smart house, maybe our vehicle, maybe my neighborhood, maybe my SME. We can cut out our value, our data, and we can use our own analytics to create our own algorithms with our own apps, because there are going to be thousands of companies creating the apps for us, so that each one of us can dramatically increase our aggregate energy efficiency at every step of conversion of our individual value chains and how we manage, power, and move economic activity. And by constantly using analytics and algorithms and apps to do that, we dramatically increase our productivity every single day. We dramatically reduce our marginal cost. Marginal cost of the cost of producing an additional unit of a good or service after we pay the fixed cost. We're going to be able to dramatically increase productivity, reduce marginal cost, to create a very streamlined global capitalist market. It means low marginal cost, low profit, but high volume. You make the profit by the networks. We're going to be able to reduce some of the marginal cost with digital technology to near zero, meaning we can free up some goods and services from the capitalist market to be shared freely and abundantly in the sharing economy now growing in the collaborative commons.